If you're a high-functioning woman, you have most likely mastered the art of looking extremely composed while your internal cycle is full of anxiety and thoughts that you can't control. Your inside is overworking, meaning that you're putting out a lot more than you're actually getting back. You are the person that everybody can count on. At work, your manager can count on you to get all the projects done. At home, every single task is done. Nothing ever goes missed. But at 11 p.m., when you lay down, you cannot figure out how to get your mind to stop from racing. This is what we call physiological optimization. Your mind has figured out how to control you to a T to get you to get done whatever it wants you to have in its cycle versus you taking care of yourself and getting done the things that would be sufficient for your life. This is not a part of our personality. Being high functioning is something that we learned as a trait as children. Where do we please? Where do we caretake? Where are we the high achievers? These are all of the things that were given to us when we were raised. And these are the things that are now running in the background, making us seem like we're extremely high functioning, making us seem like we have our things together. But in reality, our body on the inside is in turmoil. We have anxiety, we're extremely stressed, we feel like everything is always late, we feel like time is running way faster than we can catch up. And in essence, what this is doing is it's making us feel like we're missing out, making us feel like we're a failure, making us feel like we're never going to get anything done that we want. And most of all, it's not allowing us to connect to our inner channel, our actual ability to understand who we are, to do the things that we want to do, the things that connect to our heart. And because we learned this as children, we learned that doing meant safety and stillness equaled risk. Meaning that if we were doing and we were productive, things were going to turn out the way that we were told we needed to live. Instead, we weren't taught how to still ourselves and tune into our body to get the answers that already live inside of us. So what does this look like? You wake up and you're already calculating the day. You know exactly where you're going. You know exactly where you need to be. You know exactly what emails you need to write. You know exactly what projects need to be done. You know exactly what's going on inside your house. You are the walking calendar and task list. And at this point, your task list is living you. You're not living your task list. Meaning that you're living by what you've written down than by the things that actually make you happy inside. Your brain is so on that it's constantly planning, anticipating, and solving problems, conversations, and things that haven't even happened and that most likely won't happen. And the wild part is, even when your schedule is cleared and it's the weekend, your internal rhythm is racing. You cannot figure out how to still yourself and allow yourself to rest. And when you are exhausted, and you feel like your eyes are tired and your body can't move anymore, there's one more thing to do. And you want nothing more than to just still yourself enough to pause, to listen, to hear. You don't know how. And because you don't know how, that area becomes very scary. That area becomes an unproductive space that meant you're not good enough. It meant you're not being productive enough. It meant you're not doing what you need to be doing, which is your task list. And so when you finally do slow down, when there is a moment where you can catch your breath, you don't tend to feel peace. All of these things about meditations and finding stillness, to you, it's alien. Because what you feel is a spike of anxiety. What you feel is a spike of somebody's watching or there's something that needs to be done. And it's giving you all of this energy that even though your body is tired, it's pushing you to do one more thing. A lot of these things stem from our family archetypes, the things that we learned, the roles that we were given as young children, that then in turn created a lot of core patterns, meaning that a lot of beliefs got embedded into us because of the roles that we needed to play. We were either the pleaser, the caretaker, or the high achiever. And so now our belief is we're only good enough if the other person feels good. And now we're responsible for how they feel and what they say. Or we're only good enough if we do something for that person. And we might believe that's not true about us. What is running in the background is something that's autopiloted. If you ever driven a car and thought to yourself, how did I get home today? Wait, I don't remember that street. That's the subconscious autopilot that gets programmed. And that keeps running, even if there's things that we don't want to believe. And we're aware that in our psyche, it's not what we actually desire. But if it's embedded in our subconscious, if that belief is so deep that we can't see it because it's constantly pushing the feelings, so the beliefs will push the emotions, it's going to make us feel like we're not good enough by running a narrative that is now controlling our nervous system and regulation. And as you learned these family archetypes, they became the blueprints living inside your body. And as a result, with these archetypes, the beliefs that I mentioned came in. Safety was only present if the other person was feeling good and then their emotions were regulated. Safety was only present is if I kept doing things for others and therefore I was the caretaker. Safety was only present and I was only worthy is if I was getting things done. Not only were you playing a role, but they created a belief inside your system. And now you have your archetypes and you have your beliefs that are running in your subconscious. And as a result, they're triggering all the emotions that are happening in your body when you're experiencing things. And as a high functioning woman, what you're experiencing is you're only worthy, you're only good enough if you're high functioning, which means you never rest, you never tune in, you never really do things for yourself because you're only as good as the last thing you have done on that list. I want you to know that being high functioning, while it is a title that a lot of people love to wear, it's not something that's a part of our personality trait. It's something that we learned as a result of all of the things that I just expressed. And being high functioning means that you're dependable and things get done. It can cost you your health. I'm not saying change being high functioning. What I'm saying is use it to your advantage rather than allowing high functioning to use you. So learning how to rest, learning how to take care of yourself, learning how to tune in will enable you to be more high functioning because you will discover the things that you enjoy, the things that come easy, the things that fulfill your life. And there's a saying that I often like to share is slowing down will actually speed you up. And that might seem very scary in the beginning. Well, if I slow down, then I'm not going to get all the things done. But the reality is it's an 80-20 rule. You don't need to get 80% of the things done on your list in order for your life to be fulfilling. You really need to figure out what is the 20% that will serve you the most. And this is not uncommon with a lot of women. This is something that we were given, something that we were taught, because our productivity meant our worthiness. And so, how do we learn how to still ourselves enough to allow ourselves to rest? Now that we know that our emotions, our thought, and our actions are echoes of legacy patterns that we learned way before we had a choice, where a small comment, somebody says something, or a perceived mistake can trigger a bigger reaction than the present moment deserves, the real question becomes, how do we deal with it? What is it that we can do now to allow ourselves to come back to our bodies? There are 3 simple steps that you can start to do today in order to regulate yourself. And it could be in moments when you feel like you have to do 1,000 things and you don't know how to slow down, when your body is extremely tired and you don't know how to rest, or there's a perceived threat to your person by somebody saying something, you being triggered or taken back into childhood memory. And the 3 steps are to notice, to name, and to nurture. So to do the first step, to notice, we're going to want to observe our body. There might be a tension in your jaw, there might be jaw clenching, your breathing becomes shallow, your stomach might be dropping, or your mind suddenly starts racing and you have 1,000 thoughts going on. This is the first signal that your body is saying, I don't feel safe here. The first signal that you will be able to notice because it's the most familiar. So take a moment to just ask yourself, what are the things that I start to notice inside my body when I feel like that there's a certain level of unsafety in my presence? And this doesn't mean that you're physically unsafe. This means that there's a task that needs to get done and perhaps you're pushed against time, or you feel like you have too many tasks on the table, or you might feel this every time something is expected of you, where our overthinking, our perfectionism, and our need to please kicks in. As a high functioning woman, our first reaction is to jump into control and to want to solve the problem. It's an automatic loop that we have learned. But the first step is that awareness of noticing of what's going on inside of you. Once you notice what's going on, you're going to want to name the pattern. And this is really powerful because it's going to start to move the pattern from the unconscious to the conscious, from the unseen to the seen, from the space of where you're not noticing how it's running in the background to, hey, I see you. I know now what the first reaction is that's happening inside my body. Where you might say to yourself, this is where my peacemaker is coming into play. I'm starting to feel like I'm responsible for everybody's feelings in the room. Or you might say to yourself, I feel like I'm noticing my caretaker. I have to do something for somebody. Or if you're like me, you might be the overachiever. I need to sign up for a course. I need to go finish that degree. I need to finish that book. Anything that's going to put another thing on my list of, I have achieved this. And when you start to name it, what happens is you stop confusing who you are with this pattern that's been running all along. You stop confusing who you are with a personality trait that you learned as a child. And you will start to learn to observe it rather than react to it. And the third final step is to nurture. Once you have noticed what's going on and named the pattern, you need to now signal to your body that you're safe. You need to now signal to your body and your younger self that you have this handled, that you no longer need to respond with the first reaction that you always consistently had. This could be as simple as starting to take deep breaths inside your body, or taking a moment and stepping outside and grounding with the Mother Earth. Or what I love to do is I love to use a reparenting technique. I will put my left hand on my heart, my right hand on my belly. I will notice where it is in my body. I will access the little girl that learned a certain trait, and I will speak to her directly. I will tell her that she is safe, that she is heard, that she is seen, and I will speak to her until I start to feel the energy dissipate and dissolve as that emotion, feeling, and trapped energy starts to leave my body. And what I have learned, that while high functioning had served me up to a certain point, and all of those skills that I learned have not gone to waste. And as a matter of fact, my ambition and my awareness are now used in a way where I can propel at a lot faster rates and a lot slower pace, meaning I'm giving myself space to heal, to rest, to learn about myself, and to react in ways that cost me a lot less than it did before. It's where you stop living in constant reaction and you operate from clarity, from the true self that's inside of you. All of the tips that I have given you in this video are very simple steps that you can start to take today. But if there is something inside of you that wants to learn this in more depth and you want to go deeper with and start to learn how to shift in real time consistently, I've created a free masterclass that will guide you through a lot more steps that will allow you to see and understand this at a lot deeper level. Inside the masterclass, I will teach you how to catch the spiral, the reaction within the first 30 seconds, and shift from high alert into grounded authority. You can find the link in the description below or simply leave me a comment. But either way, I hope this was helpful by just teaching you the 3 steps today where you can start to access yourself and find the true desire of who you want to become. I love you. I see you.